The year is 1983, and audiences everywhere have just watched Tony Montana's dead body, surrounded by opulent luxury, drop into a pool underneath pink neon lettering that says, "The world is yours." This film was many things, one of those being a warning about the darkness that gilds the American dream and also the final cost you pay to participate in a violent economy. For all my critiques about the super wealth I grew up around, one of my personal favorite hypocrisies is seeing Black people in the wild enjoying those same things and silently cheering them on and making subtle eye contact. That kind of personal identification is showrunner gold. It's how they get you. It's how people waded through the blood and the violence to watch Scarface, and how they ended up cheering on the embattled Cuban immigrant instead of immediately typecasting him as a villain. Was that a time period where Al Pacino could get away with playing a Cuban immigrant? Yes, but in 2025, we are very fortunate that Natasha Rothwell was able to bring to The White Lotus her experiences of traveling while Black and her own Blackness to bring texture and character to her character, Belinda. And it's her character that ends up delivering us the most obvious reference that reveals something that has been hidden in plain sight from scene one. One of the can't miss themes of Scarface is that there is an inherent danger when you go to assimilate in a world of money and wealth, right? And so how do you play a Black character who has a dream and a potential murderer stalking her? How do you bring to life the political and social economic realities of a Black woman in this world? Well, you use realism and you make things complicated. In episode 5, what we had is this fever pitch high, right? We're at the Fall Moon Festival. All these decisions are made. We're left, oh my gosh, this is going to have a massive fallout the next day. And it does. And instead of that night being the immediate jump to the dead body, what we have is these higher stakes that have now been built and these consequences that in episode 6 people have to grapple with that are going to set us up for what's to come. We've now seen the snake, you could say. Episode 5 was realizing there was a snake, and episode 6 was the snake coiling its head back. The strike is coming soon, guys. I love seeing Black girls unbox their Birkins. I love seeing elderly Black women going into first class. And I love seeing the Black girls sipping mocktails in Bora Bora. Do I know how problematic the economy is? Do I still make sure that my people are in every room I can get them in? Absolutely, because one of the formative memories from my childhood was realizing that money has power, and that is the kind of power that has been routinely denied for us for years and years and years, and that is connected to Belinda's character. You know what we've developed over 2 seasons of watching Belinda try to open her own spa and have this dream and make her own money? Tenderness. Is she the only character who dreams of luxury and having her own money and enjoying herself and just having a good life? Absolutely not, but she is one of the characters with significant hurdles that have been put in front of her. Her future business partner only flaked and got murdered, so what could possibly go wrong now in Thailand? You've probably caught on by now that every single season of The White Lotus opens on a mysterious dead body, right? And then we cut, boom, we jump to 7 days ahead of time, and it's all this slow burn build up to find out who is this and what led to this happening. And whose son sees the body floating in, a decorative pool at the start of the season? Oh yeah, Belinda's. That body placement was not accidental, and neither was it opening the show where viewers are watching this young Black boy getting a meditation treatment and we assume he's a guest, and then boom, we have that realization that many of us know when we're like, oh, he's part of staff, his mom works here. That little disappointment that you felt there, Natasha wanted to play into that later in that scene where she sees on her first dinner this gorgeous elderly Black couple settling in for a dinner, and the gentleman is romantically taking care of and tending to his lady. Belinda makes a point to call her son and go, oh my gosh, there's Black people here, and guess what, they're not staff. Again, more tenderness. Natasha chose as an actor to play that with softness. She waves at them, they wave at her. It's a good moment. We see her soaking up this image and depiction of a Black woman being loved and cared for. You get bonus points if you notice that the Black lady who sat down had a braided crown and potentially a St. John muumuu. But who's to say? Is Belinda a Black workhorse who is not used to any of this stuff and is uncomfortable and doesn't seem to appreciate it? No, she is somebody who is soaking this up. She is somebody who needs rest, has fears, and is a person. She sees it and she wants it for herself and her son, and it is no accident, I keep saying that because there's no accidents in this kind of cinematography, especially with Mike White, that she's the one who says the famous Tony Montana line. Her son is complaining about the fact that, oh gosh, all he's been doing is focusing and working on his school, and she tells him, first the money, then the power, then you get the women. The world she insinuates to her son can also be yours. Now, is Belinda under any illusions that there's no violence and treachery in this world? No, she's not. She is clearly aware, and she is willing to take the risk and navigate it. That's why even with the danger involved in what Tony Montana and Scarface was moving towards, people felt like, oh, he's quitting his job as a dishwasher. He's moving up in the world. To her credit, part of what is taking Belinda perhaps so long to start her dream is she wants to do it as cleanly as possible. Now, a huge part of Blackness in the White Lotus is just how little of it there is. We are swimming in wealthy white people. There is the occasional person of color who's a guest, and then most of them are staff, and this is politically accurate. Since her arrival, Belinda has been worried about these lizards. She had a huge reaction when she and Pornchai were walking and she saw one, and he had to scare it off for her, right? And as this little fear, which is a big fear to her, builds, she then realizes that the murderish Gary / Greg is on the grounds of this hotel too, and now he's stalking about. The hotel manager, Fabian, does not take this seriously, right? And when he does realize, like, okay, this could be something here, he basically gives her the line of like, well, you just settle down, and it's not in good form to talk about the guest this way. Her safety, her needs, her issues here, that is something that is below taking care of the guests, the real people who matter. It is painful to watch this Black woman who's scared for her life. She's talking to her white male employer who could help her, who has way more power at this hotel to help her, just decide he doesn't need to do it. And then on the flip side, we get Pornchai here, who is in charge of the spa and is definitely a higher up, and the tenderness in which he cares for Belinda's fear about the lizard being in her room. We have this buildup of this fear of the lizards, and then we have Pornchai save her. And they have this very sweet moment that breaks the stress. And then she realizes with happiness that the attraction and the respect that she feels for him, he also feels for her. There was this initial fear from some of you in the audience that she was going to be backed into a mammy corner, right? And that all the other actresses that were picked have these straight sizes or the thinner. And typically what happens is that these kind of screenwriting will like pedestal those women as being worthy or more attractive. And then you get these other characters that are just left in the cold. And I would like to point out, Belinda is the only person in this show, in this season, who has a meaningful, romantic, and tender encounter with someone who actually cares about her. She is presented as what she is, which is a beautiful, thoughtful, intelligent person who has garnered attraction and attention from a very handsome man who respects her. She's wanted, she's protected, and she is seen. Of course, this has been a real experience for lots of Black women, especially Black women that look like Natasha, right? But that is not something that you get any screen time in, right? Because the Black women typically in shows like this, they are background props for the white characters to figure themselves out. And that's what makes it so scary when Gary / Greg wants her to come to his house to talk. As someone who has spotted him, Belinda is a potential threat, and now he might want to eliminate her. And this is why Belinda's smile falters after Pornchai tells her, like, you know, your dream, I think we can make that happen, and I want to support you. This is supposed to be a great, happy moment. This man who she likes and who likes her back is listening to her dream, listening to her ideas, and he's not like her other experiences where people are saying, oh, we'll help you, but they have no experience with work and they have no experience actually starting something. This is a guy who actually knows the drill. He knows what to do. But she's once again going to potentially have to defer her dream because of rich, white, wealthy mess that she wants no part in. Of course, this frightens us as the audience because we know what prey looks like. And we know in this scenario, in this political context, she is prey. But Mike White gave Belinda the Scarface line. Belinda's son, first body witness. And yes, he prays, please don't let this be my mom. But what if this is foreshadowing? If Belinda is playing the game, the assimilation game, better than Gary / Greg? Are we potentially missing her live free or die trying moment because when we look at her, we fail to see her as anything other than a Black underdog? When she said to her son, you kind of have to be gangster around this place, did we miss a threat? I can't help but think some of our assumptions might be blinding us to what might unfold. I am pleased with the particular wins of this Black woman in this story, and I am very pleased with this portrayal of Blackness that Natasha Rothwell brought to the White Lotus. If you think you know where this story is going, you don't, and I find that delicious.